All right, hello everybody and welcome to today's panel presentation. We are so very excited that you are here today to learn more about what colleges look for. A couple of housekeeping notes before I turn things over to our wonderful panelists. First of all, there are many more of these sessions going on in the coming weeks. So if you are interested in learning more from our amazing colleges, you can find all sessions to sign up for more at strivescan.com/Virginia. You can also find recordings of all of our sessions. So if you want to rewatch today's session or any others, you can find them on the same website. Your camera and microphone are also off for the duration of the panel. So if you have any questions for our great colleges, please utilize the Q&A button to ask. You can submit your questions at any time during the presentation, so please don't hesitate to let our panelists know if there's something more you'd like to learn about. With that, I will turn things over to our first panelist coming today from Virginia Tech.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be sharing my screen here. Hi, students. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. This is a really important topic. I realize that many of you are in areas where you're probably getting some rain today and hunkered down. So we're hoping to share this time with you and really help you get to that next stage of applying to colleges. So what are colleges looking for? I'm going to start us off and then I'll be joined by my colleagues Natalie and Denise. But one of the things I want to stress to you is every college is different. So keep in mind that although we're making this sound like we're all looking for the same things, we're really not. Each of us are a very different institution type. We're going to talk about what those are here in a second, but every single institution is looking for something different. So make sure you take notes of the different types of schools that are on today's panel. And then as you're looking at other schools as well, what are the particular things they're looking for? So I want to make sure I started that off so that you know what kinds of questions to ask because they're unique to each institution. So let me get started with our first presentation will be from me. So welcome again. My name's Danette Gomez-Bean. I am the Director of Recruitment and Operations at Virginia Tech's Office of Undergraduate Admissions, and I can be your point of contact after today, and I'll share your email with you on my last slide. One of the things to know about Virginia Tech is that we are big. We're a state public institution. We are Virginia's land grant institution, and we're a research institution. Those make us very different than other schools. So some of those things you probably are like, what does that even mean? That's part of the mission and our foundation of why we exist. So we started off as a land grant, and basically that just means that we were founded in 1872 with a couple of other schools around the country at the same time. So with that, we've grown into this 30,000 student campus here in Blacksburg, Virginia. We have 7 campuses around the Commonwealth and virtual, mostly for graduate education. We offer over 120 academic majors, over 100 study abroad programs, and one of the things we've always been known for is our #1 dining. So again, very different feel from maybe other schools, but that's kind of what makes Virginia Tech unique. I'm going to go on to tell you some other things that make us different. Our motto and our foundation was based in a military approach. So Virginia Tech is one of 6 military institutes around the country. We're one of 2 that are also a state institution. So Virginia Tech and Texas A&M are the 2 schools that were founded as military institutes, but are also now comprehensive research institutions. So Ut Prosim, that I may serve, is the motto that we live by, again, from our foundation. You do not have to be in the Corps of Cadets to come to Virginia Tech, but about 1 in every 2 students do choose that option. It is a nice benefit. You are cohorted into the Corps of Cadets. You can take a leadership track or you can do the commissioning into the Armed Forces track. And it is a huge part of what you'll see as the culture of campus here in our foundation, again, Military Institute. So another piece of our identity, as I mentioned, is a research institute. You'll see the PhD student in the top picture working on COVID lab results. We have our own internal COVID lab. We were able to do about 1,000 tests a day for our students and community. And everything that we do is based in the lens of research, which means innovation, creativity, and discovery. So if you want to be somebody who'll be the first person to put their hands on a technology or a theory, this is the place for you. And then beyond that, we do service in other ways. So you'll see our 2019 homecoming queen here. Her platform was the environment. She planted over 100 trees in this region as her idea of service. So again, Ut Prosum is a huge part of who we are. So a little bit about applying. I'm going to assume that some of you on here are seniors. So let's talk about deadlines because they're coming up fast and furious. Our very first deadline is this weekend. If we are your number one choice, you're going to want to choose early decision and push submit by midnight on Sunday. So that is a binding agreement, which means that if you tell us you want us and we tell you we want you, you'll have to deposit 30 days after your admission to hold your spot. After that, we roll to the next group. So that's the early action priority group. That is our biggest pool. That is where you're able to tell us you want us, but you want some options too. Okay, so Virginia Tech's got a December 1st deadline for that. I do not recommend waiting till that last deadline because you can see it's only if we have space. So we do have a January 15th regular decision deadline. Again, space available only. If you are a transfer student, you have March 1st as your next deadline. So what are schools looking for? I'm going to be microscopically specific about what Virginia Tech is looking for. So again, this is unique to us. We're looking for both your academic and personal self. Your academic self is going to include what you did in the classroom. What classes did you pick and what grades did you get? That's pretty much it. And then we are test optional. So even how you did in that test room is going to be part of your application if you elect for it to be part of your application. That is new for Virginia Tech. So this will be the first year we're going to review without those test scores. So just keep that in mind that what you did in the classroom is really important this year. I will tell you, we do not accept recommendation letters and we do not accept resumes or portfolios. So again, that holistic review is going to be what you did in the classroom and then what you did outside of the classroom. And this is for you to put in the application. Do you have a part-time job? Are you a musician? Are you an athlete? We need to see every minute of every day that you spend out of class and what you do, because that is part of that holistic review. And I will tell you, it's just as important as what you did in the classroom. So let's say you got admitted, and I will tell you, Virginia Tech has about a 65% admissions rate. So that's great. The odds are in your favor. Apply. You have a really good chance of getting in. Once you're admitted, we're going to package you with financial aid, and we'll talk about that. Denise is going to go over what the financial aid landscape looks like. But we do have January 22nd for our deadline for the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, and our scholarship application. So if you want access to all that money, you'll need to do that by January 22nd. And this is my last slide before I turn it over to my colleague, Natalie. I want you to know that at Virginia Tech, we are highly cautious with today's climate and environment. We are very responsible and we're working really hard to take care of each other in every way, both mental, physical, educational, professional, health. We're taking care of each other. And I will say I'm very, very proud of the way that our campus has handled our COVID crisis. So we encourage you to visit when we're ready. Right now, we're not taking in-person visitors, but when we are, I encourage you to come and see our beautiful campus and learn what it's like to be part of the Hokie Nation. My name is Danette. My contact information is below. So after today, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And now I'm turning it over to Natalie.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, my name is Natalie Davis. I'm an admissions counselor at UMW, and I also graduated from Mary Washington. So I'm really excited to get to share one of my favorite places with you guys today. So UMW is a public liberal arts and science university, and we are located in Fredericksburg, Virginia, on a beautiful park-like campus. So Fredericksburg is 50 miles north of Richmond, Virginia, and 50 miles south of Washington, D.C. This location right in between these two great capital cities really gives our students a lot of opportunities for internships, research, job opportunities, and just spending fun social time in those places. I can't tell you about the countless days that I spent in DC with my friends while I was in college. Downtown Fredericksburg has a fun little historic but also local feel to it. And it's about a 10-15 minute walk from campus. And our students have lots of opportunities there, local restaurants, art galleries, art exhibits, coffee shops, all of those different kinds of things. We actually have 150 different clubs and organizations at Mary Washington. So there is just about something for everyone at UMW. We really want you to find your people here. We want you to find your community and your family. We are a campus that is inclusive. We are friendly. We are diverse. And it is a place that you get to discover exactly who you are, and share that with other people and find people that are also being themselves in the same way you are. It's a place that me and many other people have gotten to call home. University of Mary Washington has an undergraduate population of around 4,100 students, with about 55% of those students living on campus. We do ask that students live on campus for their first 2 years, but we have plenty of housing if you want to stay on a little bit longer. We offer over 60 different academic areas of study for you to choose from, including pre-professional programs, a nursing program, and we even have an honors program that if you were wanting to do that. Some of our most popular majors are business, psychology, sociology, education, and biology. These are subjects that our students love, but we also have so many other options as well. Classes are we get to keep on the smaller side, which is awesome, because you have the opportunity to get to know your classmates really well. You get to know your professor by their name and they know your name. Professors at Mary Washington are there for you. They want to see you succeed. They want to make sure that you're cared for. If you're not in class, they send you an email and ask if you are okay. They want you to participate in the classroom, and having those smaller classes really makes you feel more comfortable in doing that. The largest class that we offer at Mary Washington is 70 students. So you will never have that huge auditorium style lecture class. We are one-on-one learning here at Mary Washington. So we want to see you succeed in any way that it takes. We also love research at Mary Washington. We have an entire budget for undergraduates to perform research, whether that's with a professor, whether that is on their own, or with a team of other students. There are plenty of opportunities across the board for you to do and discover anything that you might be interested in. We also are on the Common App, as well as have a Mary Washington specific application. Both of those things you can find on our website, as well as more info. We are test optional as well as at Mary Washington, so no SAT or ACT scores. We've actually been test optional for about 6 years now. So we know that we aren't going to compare you to any student that chooses to submit test scores. And we have an entire different system that our test optional students are eligible for all of our scholarships and programs. We automatically consider you for merit scholarships when you apply on the application. You don't need to fill out any other application or anything like that. So make sure that you are putting in all of the classes you're taking and your grades. We want to see that you are also taking challenging classes. Those are our deadlines. As you can see, we also have an early decision November 1. That is the binding. Mary Washington's your number one choice. So make sure that you know which deadline you are signing up for. The best deadline to apply for maximum consideration of scholarships, merit based, or the nursing or honors program is that early action November 15th deadline. So make sure that you are looking into that. It is a great year to apply early to schools. So make sure you're taking the opportunity to maybe work on your applications a little earlier so you have longer to decide. If you guys want to scan that QR code, you can check out our virtual tour. But we are also doing on-campus in-person tours and information sessions. So we have both virtual and in-person options. So if you want to find your way to campus, we have smaller tours that are socially distanced outside. So we would love to host you on campus. And then finally, my contact information. So please feel free to contact us. We want to hear more from you. We want to share more about Mary Washington and connect with us. Come do one of our virtual events, come to our open houses, and just see what we are up to by following us on social media. So again, thank you so much for today, and I can't wait to share a little bit more about the admissions process with you.
Hi, everybody. Go ahead, Danette. I'm sorry.
I was just going to introduce you. You're up, Denise.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Denise Bradbury. I'm a regional representative with St. Andrews University, and we are located in Laurinburg, North Carolina. Now that is down in the Sandhills region on the southern border between North and South Carolina. Laurinburg's a small, charming southern town, but it gives you lots of opportunities to get involved in your education and your experience at St. Andrews. So when you're looking at this slide, in the corners there are sort of the 4 pillars of our institution, and I'll start with that tradition. St. Andrews has a history that dates back to 1896, so we've seen a few years there. And our traditions are very rich and strong. And students today will start their own. One of the nice things about a small private liberal arts institution like St. Andrews is if you see things there that you would want to do but aren't there, you can start those. So you want a club? That's fine. Find a couple of your friends who are also interested and a professor, and it's on. So you're all good there. We are a very diverse university. We have students from over 26 different countries. So in today's global market, that's very important. Many students find at St. Andrews, they get an opportunity to experience cultures and things that they weren't familiar with when they were growing up and right here in our own world. So you get an opportunity to have that global experience, both in the classroom and in the sports and in your leadership and your clubs. You'll also get that international experience in your classrooms. So it's a great opportunity for you to start broadening your horizons and discovering what's important to you, getting some new experiences in there. Speaking of the experience, that's what St. Andrews is all about. That's what our students tell us they love, is the experience at St. Andrews. We are a very small school, and you can get involved in such an intense level because of the just so many opportunities, and there isn't a whole lot of students. So we're about 1,000 students on campus. So it makes for a great environment. They get to organize trips, and we have a lot of international study programs, study abroad. Those are on the hold right now, but we're hoping that'll come back real soon. And so it's all about the overall general experience in college, growing, discovering your purpose, finding out what you're about and what you want to pursue in your career goals. So the last one would be our community, and it is a tight-knit educational community. We focus on collaborative learning. So you're going to have a lot of hands-on. You'll get to develop a lot of leadership skills in those situations. You'll get to know your professors. St. Andrews, we like to say, is a great place to be known. So we're going to cover this in a minute, but in a small institution like this, you get a chance to talk to your professors one-on-one. You get a lot of your academic advisor one-on-one and a lot of contact. Also, we have career advisement that is one-on-one. So getting to develop that community and develop your individual skills and abilities is a great advantage here. So if we could move on to the next one, we'll talk about, are we the right fit for you? So thinking about some of the things that colleges look for and about some of the things that you look for, we have a lot of financial aid, and academic counseling and admissions is all one-on-one. Visits, you can visit. We are doing limited personal visits on campus, so you will get a tour. We're not taking you through the dorms and things like that, but that's just to minimize exposure. But we do limited tours. We're also doing the virtual tours, so you can choose that option. You'll get a chance to look at the student life and the activities and to explore all the opportunities of St. Andrews there. Again, talking about the small collaborative classrooms. And then as opposed to the research institutions, we are a teaching institution. And probably one of the biggest advantages of the teaching institution is that our classes are all led by your professor. It's not a teaching assistant or a graduate student standing in there. It's always your professor there. So you get a lot of that experience directly from them, and it's a great opportunity. We are a liberal arts school. We have a long history in the world of liberal arts, so declaring your major is not a necessity with us. Many of our students really value that first year to get their feet wet in college, to discover a lot about themselves now that they're out on their own, and to poke around and look at some different disciplines and maybe find something that you didn't even know you were passionate about. and being able to develop that. We are test optional. We do not require an essay unless you're looking at some of our pre-professional programs, pre-med, pre-law, psychology. Some of those are going to require a writing sample, but we'll be happy to discuss that with you as soon as you decide exactly where you want to go. So we do have NAIA sports programs, so we do scholarship there. Our equestrian program is a 50-year-old program. We're one of the original collegiate programs, and we have a 200 plus acre farm with over 100 university-owned horses, which is a big part of who we are and what we're all about, because sometimes it's great for students who come from an urban environment and have never even been around an animal like a horse. So it's a great opportunity, and our students really, it's a part of our culture, and they really enjoy their barn parties and things like that. And with a small student body, those things you're able to do them easily. So, and we also have a lot of programs in the studio arts that our students find interesting. So if we could slide over one there. We want you to come to St. Andrews and discover your purpose. What do you want to do in life? What are your accomplishments? What changes do you want to make in the world today? And so we offer rolling enrollment, which means we don't have deadlines. So you can apply at any time. Earlier is better for scholarship purposes, and that's the truth at every college. So we gave away over $10 million in scholarships for a small 1,000-student university. That's a pretty good deal. We are test optional again, and the application is free. You can either do the Common App or go directly to our website at sa.edu, and I'm going to give you a link to that in just a second. But the application is free, so you can add to your list of acceptance letters. You know, there's only 2 wrong numbers for acceptance letters. That's 0 and 1. 0, you didn't try, and 1, you didn't give yourself a choice. So getting those applications in early would be my big advice, letting colleges have time to talk with you or to look over your information, however they do it. We like the one-on-one contact. We want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. We're probably going to Zoom with you or have you come and visit because we want to make sure you're a good fit. And you want to make sure that the school you choose is really suited to you, because we find that if you find a school that's a good fit for you, you're much more likely to stay and succeed. So be sure you're checking out all your options when it comes to schools, big schools, small schools, you know, whatever it is that you're attracted to, and see how that will work out for you. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to just scan these. You can take a screenshot and scan them at any time, or you can just hold your phone up there and it'll send you right there. We do have our scholarship applications all online. You can apply our free application there, or you can schedule a visit, whether personal or virtual, whichever you prefer at this time. So that's a little bit about St. Andrews. And I think Danette now is going to take us into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, so what I want to spend a minute on, now that you've kind of seen that all of us are test optional, this is not unique for our 3 campuses. The test optional or test blind are now at most institutions. So let me explain what that means really quickly. So test blind means that we don't look at the scores at all. So even if you submit them, we will not use them. Test optional means that if you tell us to use them, we're going to use them. Okay. So I think the 3 of us are test optional. So again, you have the choice to submit them and we will review them if you want us to. Let's talk about the risks and benefits of choosing test optional or not. So I highly recommend that you connect with the school about what that looks like. Sometimes they'll say they're test optional in the admissions process, but then not be test optional in the financial aid and merit-based award option for financial aid. So make that very clear distinction with every school. So that's your first question to ask. And then you're going to ask the question, will this score help me or hurt me? Frankly. So you know what the scale is for your ACT and SAT scores. You know what a low score looks like. You know what an average score looks like. You know what a high score looks like, because those companies, they publish where your percentile falls within the national scope. So if you feel like you have a pretty solid score, I think it could definitely help you. If you feel that your score is not indicative of how wonderful of a student you are, probably isn't going to help you. And I don't know at what schools it would hurt you, but I definitely wouldn't submit them if you don't feel like it's indicative of your work. So that's my advice to you. Now, what are the benefits and risks? The risks of not including them is that maybe, again, they will use them for financial aid. So you need to ask the school that question. At Virginia Tech, we work really hard with our honors college and all of our donors to ensure that testing is not a part of the criteria this year. So again, ask your school if that's the case. Then you're also going to want to ask, are those tests going to be used for any other consideration? Again, I mentioned the honors college. Well, Virginia Tech has an honors college. Other schools may not, but maybe the specialty programs are going to require that score. You have to ask those questions. Again, we're working with the honors college this year and they are not requiring those scores, but other schools might. So again, ask. What are the benefits to leaving or including the score? So the benefit to leaving it off would just be that the committee doesn't review them. So they're just going to use other parts of your application to make a decision. So that could be a good thing because maybe testing isn't your favorite thing. But again, if you have a great score, maybe that test score is what the committee needs to put you into the admit pile. So you're going to have to make that decision. And I highly recommend reaching out to us at the schools to make that decision if you have any questions. So again, it's a very, very individualized decision for you and your family, but it's also a very unique decision for the school. So make sure you ask those questions and that you get a very clear understanding of the risks and benefits of including or not including your test score. Natalie and Denise, do you want to add anything to that from your standpoint?
No, I feel like that's exactly right. Like we still consider, actually the difference at Mary Washington is we still consider students for all programs and the honors program, as well as all of our merit scholarships. So it doesn't take you out of anything for being test optional. And we've actually been test optional for a few years now. So it is something that we've worked on for a while, and we definitely want to make sure that that does not take you out of anything at UMW.
Yeah, we're just test optional. If you submit it, it definitely will be considered if it's helpful. Otherwise, it's not going to hold you back from anything.
Great. So hopefully you have a good answer to that. The next thing we're going to talk about, Natalie's going to, I'm sorry, let's see, what's next? Oh, here we go. So Denise is going to cover the financial aid information for what to consider. Denise?
Thanks. So financial aid, it's a pretty broad topic. So I'm going to just cover the basics here. The very first thing that you have to do for financial aid, no matter what school you're going to go to, is the FAFSA. That's the free application for federal student aid. And as you can see on the slide there at fafsa.gov is where you can apply. They opened it on October 1st and they do every year. Some of the basics, you're going to need some information from a parent or guardian. There are exceptions to that rule, but if that's the case, you'll be able to determine that on the website. They'll walk you through that process. So the other thing that we like to remind students of very much is that you have to do this every single year that you're in school. So it's not a one-time deal. So I want you to know that you're going to need some parental or guardian support when you fill it out. So be prepared for that. And you're also going to have to do this every single year. Now, truly, there are probably 4 basic types of financial aid. You're going to get your federal financial aid, and that's what FAFSA is all about. Once you fill out the FAFSA, all your federal financial aid is going to be able to be determined there. And then you have state financial aid. That varies from state to state. I'm in North Carolina, and what they offer their student residents is different than what Virginia does. So you can check that out in your guidance office. You can check that out in a number of different places. So then we have the institutional financial aid. Those are the scholarships coming from your colleges. That is, in many people cite that as the #1 source of funding for your education. So you really want to work on those scholarships coming from the school that you choose to attend. And then you will have private scholarships. And that is huge. Anyone who thinks they don't qualify for a scholarship needs to answer one of these 3 questions. Do you like chocolate? Do you like coffee? How about ice cream? Can you say you like any of those? Because I promise you there's a scholarship out there for the lovers of all of those. So when students often say to me, I don't think I qualify for a scholarship, I always say, oh, I doubt that's true. There is definitely something out there for all of you. As a matter of fact, the ice cream scholarship this year is asking you to write an essay, a quick essay, 500 words, I think, what flavor you would choose to be and why. How fun is that? So you can even have a little fun when you're out here looking at these private scholarships. I will tell you, it's the #1 way for you to influence the cost of college for yourself. As a single parent, I put 2 kids through college, and I can tell you that scholarships were huge. And we went out there and did these everywhere. It's kind of a passion of mine, actually. So I wanted to give you just 2 quick resources for those outside scholarships, and that is fastweb.com. I am still to this day signed up on fastweb.com. They send me a notice every morning. Some days it's $1,000, but I've seen up to $35,000 worth of scholarships I qualified for and could apply for that day. Also, most people don't know that collegeboard.org, where you signed up, if you've taken the PSAT or the SAT, you already have an account. Go on there and in the search button, search scholarships. They have one of the largest databases and clearinghouses for scholarships out there. One form, and they'll show you all of them that you qualify for. So those are great options. Also, don't forget to go into your guidance office. High school guidance counselors are fantastic for finding local scholarships and promoting those. And let me tell you, the big deal about the local scholarships may be small dollars, but they'll come directly to you for you to decide how you need to support your education. Do you need a new computer? Do you need travel expenses if you're going to one of the big schools or out of state? So those things are wonderful for that. And then don't forget to check out your foundations in every state that you're at, the GRAS for VA, the College Foundation of North Carolina, those kind of places, and see what they can offer you as well. And so that's a real quick overview of financial aid. One thing I would like to stress, and all of us would agree with this, don't be afraid of it. Just get involved with your admissions counselor and let the financial aid folks and the admissions people walk you through this process. It should not be scary, and it's really not scary. So just go in there and let us help you walk through this each step of the way. And then when you get done, you'll know exactly how much each school costs. Really going to cost you individually, and then you can compare and decide too. So don't be afraid of this financial aid process is my big push on this.
Denise, that was excellent advice. Thank you. And a wonderful segue to Natalie, who's going to really walk us through the next steps. Natalie?
Yeah, awesome. So we definitely don't want you leaving here today not knowing kind of what you need to be taking away from this. So I feel like this is a good end for learning of what you should be taking away, kind of a good summary. So let's just finish with the basics of the admissions overall, what we're looking for, things like that. So UMW and the others and many other schools, we've said, our holistic approach to the admissions process. Again, not all schools are the same, but that means for us that we don't look for a specific set of numbers. We're not looking for or going through formulas or specific criteria. We're looking for every single student, we want to know all parts that make up you as a student. We want to know who you are. And I think Virginia Tech summarized it really well, academically and personally. Those are both important things. So first, curriculum. Basically, again, just the classes that you have taken over school. A few things that I know I ask myself when reviewing applications and transcripts are you taking advanced classes, honors, AP, IB, dual enrollment, classes that will help you better prepare yourself for college? Maybe are you challenging yourself going into your senior year still? It might not be a great time to say this, but this is not always a time to slack off in your senior year. I know you probably have worked really hard the past few years, but we want to see that you are continuing to work hard and preparing yourself academically for what is coming. Maybe you've gradually challenged yourself each year by taking 1 or 2 increasingly difficult classes. That's awesome as well. Another really important thing on this step is also to go back to that list of schools, those lists of schools that you might be interested in, that you visited or you've looked up into, and look if they prefer that you have certain classes. I know when I was applying to college, I knew certain classes wanted me to have physics, or certain colleges wanted me to have physics, or maybe they wanted an upper level math class on that transcript. So look back and see if there are any specific classes that a college might be wanting if you're a junior or sophomore, so you can queue those classes up in your schedule. The other thing we're looking at on your transcript are the grades that you've gotten in those classes. So hopefully you're taking challenging courses, but now we're going to look at how you've done in those classes. We know that all schools don't weight classes the same. They don't use the same grading scales or GPAs, but we are going to look at your GPA, but dig a little deeper into that. So we are going to look for ourselves into those grades you've gotten in those advanced courses, hopefully. We receive a profile from schools that we can kind of look at and describes to us the courses that are offered at your school, the average GPA, if you're taking demanding, average, or very demanding classes. So we look at those things and we can kind of compare them throughout. I personally am not comparing a student that goes to 2 different schools, even if you're in the same city. It is completely different from school to school, and we know that. So those are kind of the things that we are looking on the transcript. The next thing that we are looking at is definitely your involvement. So maybe we want to see what you've done all throughout high school, whether it's in or out of school. The Common App, which UMW is on, and many other schools, give you lots of opportunities to list literally every single activity you might have done throughout your time in high school. We know right now that activities are sparse, but let us know what you've done in the past. Maybe you picked up new things during this time. Maybe you've gotten a job or new household responsibilities. They do not have to be school affiliated. Make sure you are letting us know everything you are doing. Some of the kinds of things that we might be looking for, service. We love to see involvement in your community. We love to see that you are maybe helping out in your school by being a mentor or an ambassador, or anything that really is the betterment of society. Maybe you organized a peaceful protest during this time, gathered materials and made masks, worked on a cleanup, or volunteered to help an elderly neighbor. We want to know these things and how you are impacting your community. A few other things, clubs and organizations or activities you're a part of, other maybe leadership roles you've taken on, whether that's in a job, a local youth group, a local nonprofit. Let us know these things. And then finally, athletics. If you are part of an athletic team, whether in or out of school, let us know those things. Maybe you're interested in also playing sports in college. What I would say for that, especially at Mary Washington, contact coaches. We are Division III in athletics, so we don't do as much recruiting as those bigger schools might do. But we love to hear from student athletes and set up visits for them to come to campus. I can also say for Mary Washington, we are looking at your essay. This is an opportunity for you to really share a new thing about yourself with us. What I recommend for it, here's my advice. If you're a tennis star at school and your letter of recommendation and all of your activities and info is about doing tennis, maybe share something new on your essay about yourself. I understand already from your application and all those different things that you're interested in tennis, but tell me something else about yourself. Tell me something else you're involved in. Don't put too much pressure on yourself for the essay. I think sometimes students stress out a little too hard on this. Just be true to yourself. We can tell when you're writing in your own voice, so don't try to be funny or dramatic if that's not you. Be yourself. And then finally, make sure to edit and proofread it. I can't tell you the amount of times I've read an essay that has the wrong school's name in it and says, "Go Mary Baldwin" at the end. Make sure you put the right school in there. And then finally, I would say we are ultimately in the application process wanting to make sure that our school is a good fit for you. We want students that are going to successfully enter their freshman year and walk across that stage at graduation. Choosing a college that you're going to thrive at and has the atmosphere that you need is really important. All schools are looking to admit students that will be an asset to their communities. Students that are involved in activities outside of the classroom are always the most successful because they have more social skills, time management, and are great multitaskers. So see if other schools that you're looking at, a few final things, if they have a program that you apply into. So for instance, at Virginia Tech, you have to apply into a specific major or program that you're interested in. At Mary Washington, all of our students come in undecided except for our nursing students. And then at St. Andrews, all students come in undecided. So know what you're getting yourself into, know what you need to get into that specific program. And then finally, I would say Mary Washington and St. Andrews, we offer an opportunity to sit down with an admissions counselor, have a little chat, and we call ours an interview. St. Andrews is kind of just a sit down chat, but it adds a little bit more context to your application, and it allows you to have any of your specific questions answered by your counselor. So check if the schools that you're interested in have that option. We offer an optional scholarship that comes with just participating in the interview. So make sure that you are seeing all the things that these schools are offering you. So that is all I have. I hope that you guys feel like you got something great out of today. But I think we would love to open up for questions or anything in the Q&A.
As you all are formulating your questions, because we do have a few minutes for that, I'm going to ask the panelists to answer a question to get us warmed up. So the first question I have is, do you review in-state versus out-of-state students differently? Denise, you want to go first?
Sure. We're a private institution, and in-state and out-of-state is more often relatable to the scholarship from the state. So public institutions, the techs or the lottery or however the money comes, they get that from the state government. So we don't. So we always look like we're out-of-state tuition. So sometimes there is some, we are looking at where our students are coming from for good fit, cultural, do they have the support if they're going to be traveling a long way and things like that. So we occasionally consider where you're from, but more often than not, no. And there is no advantage or disadvantage to being in state or out of state with a private school, because the funding doesn't come from the state. So we don't have in-state and out-of-state tuition, but we do have a lot of scholarship dollars, because with a school that's been around since 1896, we've been able to build a strong scholarship foundation, so we can support our students in that way, rather than the tax dollar scholarship.
Yeah, I would say for us at Mary Washington, we do not at all really consider it. We do have specific counselors that have different territories in schools, so they know what they're looking for when they see an out-of-state transcript versus an in-state one. But we don't have a specific cap of students that we allow into Mary Washington from out of state. And we do not review them any differently than we would an in-state student. So it is kind of equal across the board for all of our students.
So Virginia Tech is a state institution, and we very much do look at in-state and out-of-state a little bit differently, because we are bound by the General Assembly of Virginia to ensure that we have a particular ratio of in and out-of-state enrollment. So keep that in mind. In-state students, we must enroll at about a 70% enrollment, and out-of-state a 30% enrollment. This also means that we have to look at how students will yield to Virginia Tech. So if we admit an in-state student, you're 88% likely to deposit at Virginia Tech. Whereas if we admit an out-of-state student, you're 44% likely to enroll. So we kind of have to admit 2 out-of-state students for every 1 in-state student. So that's kind of an interesting ratio. So keep in mind, state institutions a lot of times are bound by their state and the regulations they have. So I'm going to answer this question about caps on whether so many students can come from a particular school or country. So I'll start this off. At Virginia Tech, we don't look at caps. We don't have quotas or maximums, but we do, as Natalie mentioned, look at everybody within the context of their school. So if we do have some high schools, especially in Virginia, where we get 150 applicants from one high school. So we do have to look at those students in the context. Even though they're all strong, we're probably going to choose the ones that have really performed within that context. So again, no cap or quota, but we are looking at that context. And we definitely aren't looking for so many students per country. I will share with you, if you're looking at our 2025 strategic goals, there is at Virginia Tech, a unique goal in there that says that we want to diversify the countries of where students are coming from, but that doesn't mean we can't take students from certain countries. So Natalie, you want to go next?
Yeah, I would say that's about the same for us. We definitely do have already a pretty diverse population of students. We have 40 different states and 56 different countries that our students are coming from. And we don't put any limits to those things. So again, we are looking at students, and we do have schools also that we get 100 or so applications from, but we kind of do the same thing that Virginia Tech does as well.
Denise, anything else you want to add to CAPS or anything like that?
No, we don't do any. We cherish our diversity, and I see that our Strive Scan rep is back. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this afternoon, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you so much to all of our participants today who came to join the panel, and a huge round of thank yous to our panelists for taking the time to come and talk to our students today and be willing to answer all questions and talk more about your schools. So for our participants, just before we close things out, again, thank you for participating today. When you close out the Zoom room, you will get a prompt for a quick little survey. If you'd be so kind as to fill that out for us, that way we can get some feedback on how we did, that would be splendid. Also, as a reminder, both the recording for today's session as well as many more sessions are all available to sign up for and receive on our StriveScan website. If you're interested in learning more, strivescan.com/Virginia is the place to go. Thank you again to everybody, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, folks.
Thank you. Bye.